Hello, 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 hello. Great to be with you today again. Ephraim is my name. This is the second in a series of this program, just trying to provide support, a bit of highlights on visas and immigration to Australia. Being a registered migration consultant myself, an agent, I just felt there's a little bit of gaps to be bridged in this area. So today, it's really all about student skill and family visas. Obviously, there are other visas, but we just want to focus on these ones today. In case you watch this later, in addition to those that will be joining me soon, I would rather take your questions, provide some answers where I can, than even trying to cover some of the materials I have at the background. But while waiting for your questions, we'll just keep plotting ahead. So before we go ahead, which is something we do intentionally, we wonder, even though I'm doing this roadshow and live broadcast from the USA, but Sustainable Migration Service is located in Australia, and we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Aborigine and Torres Strait Islander people. We do this, like I said, intentionally because we know that they've made room for us. The history is is there. So we acknowledge their leaders, their youth, past and present. We take this seriously. So just want to get that done. It's very important for us. Yeah. So like I said, today it's about student skill and family visas. Please ask questions. I can see that we already have one or two persons online. I would rather provide feedback to your questions, like I said earlier on, than just covering what I had in mind. Before I go further, I think sorry for those that don't find this easy. I'll bring this thought because just this week, someone very dear to me passed. So I just want to pay tribute to Professor Pius Iruwebe. It's been a difficult week. I can imagine how it is for the family if his passing has touched me like this. I recall Pius came to Australia to do his one of his specialist training trauma more than a decade ago. We were together, and where he did the training, they were really keen to retain him so that he can stay and practice in Australia. And a little bit selfishly on my part as well, I tried to also convince him, why don't you just stay back, Pius? You're such a bright person. They like you here. But Dr. Pius said, no, I want to go back to Nigeria and contribute. Then it was a little bit surprising for me, but now I realize the wisdom behind the action he took. So he went back and established a trauma center in Nigeria, which has become a global sort of name in that regard. So I just want to pay tribute to Professor Pius Iruwebe. this is still fresh, and my prayers on behalf of our organization, our prayers goes to the family as they go through this process. So just want to pause there for a second, of at least for a few seconds in tribute to Professor Pius Irogbe, who was a consultant surgeon at UBTH, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, and Deputy Vice Chancellor of University of Benin before he passed. Yes, once again, our thoughts and prayers goes to the family of Professor Pius Irogbe. So let me go back to the business of the day now. Visas Australia, that's the topic here. I just want to highlight a few things while waiting to take questions. I already have someone. Oh, thank you so much, Alessandra. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that, Alessandra. It's really a very happened this week. Quite a difficult time. I know people experience losses in their lives, but some are quite touching. So thank you for that. And I'll just go on taking questions. Job applications mentioned that they require people to already have a work permit in Australia. Someone who's looking to get a job, a work visa in Australia. Good point, Alessandra. Really, this is one of the difficult situation for a lot of prospective clients, and a few of my clients have had these challenges as well. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Some of the job work visas require you to have work experience, but at the same time you're being asked to come and work in the country. So work permit in Australia, when some employers are asking for that, they are going by the law, because there are some rules in Australia where you just can't employ anyone without a right work permit, especially with regards to immigration. You have to have a visa that allows you to work in Australia for you to be working in Australia. And if such companies are caught, sometimes they suffer a lot for it. So many of them would like to avoid that situation. Now, Alessandra, I know that we already engaging, trying to support you. One thing we're trying to avoid during this session is go specific. We try to be generic because we cannot afford to offer advice via this kind of online platform, because we want to make sure the advice we give you are checked out. They are very sound. But I can tell you, definitely there are options. I know that we're already in contact, so I'll follow up through email, via email with you, Alessandra. But there are visas that are actually there depending on your circumstance. So we can take up more details about that. But just coming back to your question, yes, if you don't have a visa that allows you to work in Australia, it will be against the law for you to be working. And employers that employ people that don't have such visas, when they could be in serious trouble when they employ people. So yes, I'll follow up with you, Alessandra. But thank you so much for that question. And please keep asking. We can talk more about the generic aspect, Alessandra, but I cannot go into specific advice online. I'll definitely follow up with email and phone calls with you. And also when I get back to Australia, we're already going to align appointments together. But just a quick flag, a few things here. These are highlights, very generic. The next slide is about work visas, Alessandra. So I'm sure you'll be interested in that. But quickly about generally studying, working, and living in Australia is still very attractive. And I think that is one thing I'm just highlighting by this slide. The qualifications you get in Australia, when you come in as a student, is very competitive globally. And I think I need to stress this point. When you're coming as a student, I know most people want to come in and then stay. And this is why some visas are refused, because I can tell you right now, again, this is not specific, it's generic, and it's valid point that when your case officer assigned to review your application sees any indication that your application for coming to study is not genuine, and what we call genuine temporary entrant, which has now been changed to genuine student. But the key word there is genuineness. So if there's any indication that you are coming to study because you are trying to escape from your country, maybe poverty, or you just want to come here to work instead of studying, they don't take that lightly. So as an agent, when I work with my clients, I want to make sure any submission, any application, it's right in its merit as a student visa application, not applying for student visa with a view to stay after. You may not be successful there. So the student visa in itself is quite competitive globally. I have clients in the past, also colleagues, who after they completed their education here, they couldn't stay for various reasons. But I know one particular case, he went on to migrate to Canada, and with very good employment there right now. So come with the mind that the qualification you will get in Australia is very strong and viable in its own merit. And having said that, even the department is aware that study is one of the established pathways to becoming an Australian permanent resident. They are aware of that. But what they don't want to see is you coming with a mind that you want to study, but with a mind to wanting to rather than focus on that primarily, firstly, but again, we can dwell more on this later, but that's just one key point there. And then the job opportunities in the country regarding work, they are there. And this goes back to the point of Alessandra, they are there. It's a growing country. There are quite some vast opportunity. It has its seasons, just like any country. And finally, the intents of living in Australia, you can check this out. All the indices are out there. Australia is a very, in terms of living standards, I can say that from experience myself, is a very good place to live and raise family. The other point there, if I may just get on to the other slide, and I think this is I already mentioned some of this already. When you're applying for a student visa, focus on an education first. The other factors that are also important, how do you afford the fees and the cost of studying? That would be a serious aspect the case officer will be looking at when reviewing your application. English language requirements is recently it's become a key aspect. It's going to even be more stringent in terms of the requirements to be able to pass IELTS, which is one of the common English language tests we have for Australia here. And eventually, I'm also going to support my clients in this regard, not as a migration agent, but having experienced that test myself, and also just making sure people have the best chance of succeeding in it. Again, the system could be complex. The education and study visa has a tier system, which depends on the passport you hold, depend on the university you're applying to. So it's quite complex, but it's doable. There are still successes in students visa, but I must confess it became harder in the past few months. Other practitioners in this space will tell you sometimes it could be frustrating as are being refused, and this is why I work closely with my clients to prepare them as best as one could. Nobody can, even as an agent, nobody can give you any guarantee with regards to visa decisions. It's the department's final say. But they are looking at the law, which as migration practitioners, we also look at those laws. So that's why we are in a better position than going to try some of these visas yourself. Without overselling it, there's value in using agents more often than not. And I'll go to this slide now, bringing back to Alessandra in case she's still online. This is one that is, in terms of work, the demand is there. Yes, there have been low seasons, which is the same like when there was global financial crisis. Australia is not immune from that. Oil and gas decline, we had a big shock in the employment system. So, but the projections are already there that we're going to come up again where there will be, it's already gearing up, high demand, different areas. So the demands relatively are high, opportunities are there. Now with work visa, just to quickly, again, this is generic, this is not specific advice. The skills list are normally pre-selected. So that's why sometimes you could have skills of high demand, like any day when people apply for as health practitioners, aged care practitioners, it's always the chances are higher because the demand is higher in those areas. And the country, they actually focus on those kind of visa because of the need. So I can't change that, and I try to be very open with my client. Doesn't mean that the engineers are still not needed. It doesn't mean that the architects are still not needed. It does not mean that other areas of studies like IT any day, because doctors will definitely need technology to work. So, but we know that health practitioners are always attractive areas to explore. Some visas are based on invitation. Now it comes back to your question earlier on, Alessandra. Alessandra asked these questions. Let me just flag it again. In terms of what kind of visa, just to let you know, some visas take a bit of time. Again, depending on the demand, some visas are escalated, some applications, because the demand is high. But some of them will require you to go through expressions of interest, where you have to put in an application first, expressing your interest. And from that pool, people will be invited to apply for visas. And that will depend on how much points you score in terms of your qualifications, your age. Uh, it's quite a complex system, but this is why we're here. We can always support our clients. So some of them will require expression, applying first, expressing your interest, and from there, whether through state employers, some other system will not be, prospective clients will be invited to apply. Some visas also require skills assessment. This is another area that sometimes is very challenging for clients. They can't wrap their heads around how the process goes. But again, the department in Australia, they are actually trying to get, in their own way of looking at it, they want to get the best out of the lot. I wouldn't be faulting it because, hey, everybody wants the best. So some of them require skills assessment. There's another area that is coming up as an opportunity, and I do tell some of my clients, be open to regional areas. This is going to be an area of opportunities. Regional, sometimes people do not know that it could even offer more opportunities than trying to go to the already crowded cities. Now, I do understand why it may not be some people's preference, because you want to be around the city, you want to be where it's all the bustles and hustles, but it's up to what you want. So regional areas may be an opportunity. Just to check here. Yeah, thank you so much, Charles, for being with us. Yes, Charles has brought a very important point. Maybe I missed that earlier. Age. Can applicant above 45 years of age able to get skill visas? It's a very delicate question and very real, Charles. Thanks for that, for flagging it. And I'm very frank with my clients. The moment you're past 45, I can tell you that right now, it becomes more difficult for some skill visas, because part of the requirement is that you have to be below 45. I mean, that age is a benchmark. So I tell the more challenging part of this now, and this is already being implemented, even for the post-study visa, which is one way that most people in the past used to, as a pathway to permanent residence. They come in, study, and in the past, very smooth, straightforward. Once you finish study, you meet some requirements in terms of study requirements. There's literally no other criteria. Age is it wasn't an issue, as long as you study here and you successfully earn your degree here. But I think in the past, some of them used to be like 50 years, but now it's just been reduced to 35 years. Now, imagine somebody coming here as an age student who's already, and most postgraduate students may not likely be below that age mark. And especially students that come to study with a mind to stay, which the department realized that, yeah, that's often the case. And that is why I stressed that point earlier on. And I tell my clients as well, pursue study first with a mind that the degree you will earn, it's quite valuable in itself, even if you don't get to stay. If you don't sort of tick that box for yourself, I think I just hope more people will not be disappointed, because the direction the department is going with the new rules that are just being rolled out, or that are still being rolled out, age is still going, it's even going to become a how would I put it now, a stricter filter, if I may use it in that term for better words, because imagine 35 as a filter. Uh, it's going to be. So coming back to your point, Charles, thank you for that point. 45 years used to be that age, and it's still there. Some of these rules are new. Not all of them have been implemented yet, but even that 45 years now is being pushed even further down, especially for post-study visas. I hope that helps, Charles. But please keep. Thank you for that point. Now, I hope this point I made about the study, hopefully is well addressed, especially with your earlier question, Alexandra, which I'm going to continue with you beyond this session to see what we can do to provide support to you, Alexandra, in terms of work visas opportunity. Finally, family and guardian. This is one area some people may not be aware. Let me start with the guardian visa. If you have a student, a child, or someone in the family, it doesn't have to be direct child. There are some criteria. Like I said, we don't want to be specific here, but if you're a guardian of someone that may need support while studying, you can actually come as a guardian with a guardian visa to support. Of course, there are conditions regarding that visa, because the primary purpose of you being here will be to support the student while they are studying, why he or she is why the student is studying. But the opportunities are there, and some students do need that support. Beyond that, family visas, the thinking behind family visas, that those students, all these workers coming to work here, the immigration policy or the thinking behind it is that people should not be separate from their family because they are coming to study or to work. Even if it's not immediate, there are provisions for your family somehow to join you along the way. So family visas are also very popular, either through marriage or just established relationship. Again, the law about these are quite strict in terms of what is a partner, who is a spouse, who is a family. So it's not just everybody. There's an established legal boundary of who a family is, but opportunities are there. I think that was the last I have. But again, like I said, if you have questions, you can ask. This session was meant to really just try to provide general hints, if you like, because even if you don't use my service, it's good for prospective clients to be informed enough to know some of these basics, because these are basics. Because you're beyond all these, you now have to go into the law proper, go into the line by line, so that we can prepare the best case for your application. But these are sort of the basic point that really people should be aware of. If you are working with, because out there are quite a lot of deceit. Unfortunately, it happens. A lot of fake agents. I'm not here to badmouth my fellow agents who are doing the right thing, but there are some out there quite globally, because sometimes it's not our regulatory bodies are not able to regulate everyone all around the world, especially once you're operating outside of Australia. So it's good for people to be informed. Just know that when you are applying, for example, for student visa, make sure that genuineness factor is sorted out. Otherwise, your visa may not pass the test, your application. Affordability for some jurisdiction is quite expensive. So you have to make sure you are ready for that. English language requirements, there's no escape of that, except there are some exceptions according to the law about something that is very significant. Work, this is one area that is gearing up to be very busy, but the thinking of the current thinking of the immigration department is that people should not come here and just not have the best chance of actually securing a job. So they are really strict now about that matching visa application to the prospective, the chance of securing jobs. So the skills list is being updated, where they now have skills of demand, different tiers. There are some areas of skills that could take very short time to process because they are aware that those people should not be looking for a job for a long time. And to an extent, there's some good thought process around that. Like I mentioned earlier on, some health professionals. So some visa applications are going to be very fast because they will be prioritized based on that list. So it's something that is still being worked on. Our professional body, MIA, is providing us with support as well, just to keep in touch with all the changes coming through. Yeah, I think hopefully this was helpful. If there's still any question, even if you have a look, if you look at this later, if you watch this live or this video clip later and you want to ask questions, please feel free. We can pick it up and still respond to you. Make sure you get some feedback from us. All right. There's no other questions. I think we'll leave it here. Otherwise, let's keep in touch. Australia is still a very good place, despite what may sound quite challenging. And really, in some areas, there's a few streamlining that is being done. But despite that situation, I can tell you now, just like that first slide, which I started with, Australia is still a very good place to study, work, and live in. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. Once again, and Alessandra, thank you very much. And Charles, thanks for your comments, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.